You are the only person in this relationship you can change. You can inspire your partner, but if you give up on your relationship, you're really giving up on you. If you say, what's the use? It's never going to change. You need to take it out of there and put in I. What's the use? I will never change. There is no it. There's only I. If you no longer even bother to protest, if you're attacked or abused by your partner, you've given up on you. If you think it's pointless to try to change because it will only make the other party get angry, then you've given up on you. It's Dr. Phil. You found your way to fill in the blanks, and we're in the middle of our series, Relationship Reality Check, subtitled, How Much Fun Are You to Live With? How much fun are you to live with? And you know, we've been talking about what not to do in a relationship. We've been talking about myths, blowing those things up. We've been talking about your bad spirit, those things that will contaminate a relationship and drag it down. And you heard me say, relationships are ships, and ships go down. But now it's time to start talking about what to do. I've cautioned you about what not to do, but anybody can say what not to do. Anybody can criticize. Anybody can find fault. But what do you do? How do you make your relationship sing? As we've talked about doing a reality check on your relationship, one of the key things I've said is that you either contribute to or contaminate your relationship. There is no neutrality. And I hope what you've done, rather than just listen to me ramble on here, is really stop and ask yourself some questions. Because my intention has been to be thought-provoking here. You know, when you watch Dr. Phil, I'm talking to people, I'm talking to couples, I'm talking to families, I'm talking to individuals about their specific story. And I really hope that when I do that, you're able to take something away from those stories that you can use in your own life. But here in Relationship Reality Check, I've set the stories to the side, and I'm talking to you specifically about things that you can plug in to your own life and your own relationship. I hope it's been thought-provoking to the extent that when you come away, you've asked yourself, is the bad spirit that we've talked about active in my life? Has my bad spirit taken me over? When I say you either contribute to or contaminate your relationship, I hope you step back and say, which is it for me? Am I a contributor? Do I bring good things to the relationship, or am I a contaminator? I've got luggage, I've got baggage, I've got a history that puts a chip on my shoulder, and I bring it to the relationship and contaminate with it. I do hope you ask yourself that, because you've heard me say you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. That's life law number 4. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. If you're a contaminator, you can't stop contaminating if you don't acknowledge that you're a contaminator, and you cannot stop contaminating if you don't start contributing. Now think about what I just said. You've heard me say that you don't break habits, you actually replace one behavior with a new behavior that's incompatible with the one you don't want. And that's the same thing about contaminating. If you want to stop contaminating your relationship, then start contributing to your relationship, because that's a whole new set of behaviors that is inconsistent, incompatible with contaminating it. If you're doing positive things that contribute to your relationship, then you can't be contaminating it. And what I'm telling you today, what I'm turning to today in Relationship Reality Check, how much fun are you to live with, is it's time to get back to you. Have you stopped lately and asked yourself, do you know why your partner, your spouse, your husband, your wife, whatever it may be, fell in love with you to begin with? Stop and think about that. Now, for me, I met Robin 48 years ago. 48 years ago. That's a long time. I mean, gas was like 30 cents a gallon. Think about that. That's how long ago that was. And it does a body good to turn back the clock and think, why did somebody choose you for their life partner? If it was 48 years ago, 30 years ago, 2 years ago, why did they choose you? What was it about you that lit them up? What was it about you that made them say, wow, I want to be with this person? And all false humility aside, I want you to get out a piece of paper and write down why your partner chose to spend the rest of their life with you. What was it? And be realistic about it. Like I say, all false humility aside. For me, it wasn't that she loved running her fingers through my hair. I know that for damn sure, because I was bald then just like I am now. But what was it? Were you fun? Did you make your partner feel safe? Did you make your partner feel special? Did you make your partner feel valued? Did you make your partner feel like they were a worthy, valid human being? Were you interesting? Were you intriguing? What was it that made your partner fall in love with you? If you can't answer that question, then you need to hit pause and stop listening to me until you can answer that question. You're not a victim. You either elicit, maintain, or allow what's going on in your relationship. You are the architect of your thoughts, your thought patterns, your behaviors. Whatever your partner's bad habits are, you need to ask yourself, what do you do to pay them off for that? If they are constantly late, if you're going somewhere, you're meeting someone for dinner, or you have a reservation somewhere, and they are chronically late. I mean, it's a fight every time. You make a reservation somewhere, you're going to be there at 7:30, and 7:30, you're ready to go, and they're not, and you leave at 8:15 every time. And so you are mad every time. You are arguing every time. You need to ask yourself what you're doing to elicit, maintain, or allow that behavior, because you are not a victim. You are doing something to enable that behavior. You are paying them off for that behavior. So instead of asking yourself, what is wrong with them that they do this, you need to ask yourself, what am I doing to reinforce this behavior on their part? And I certainly didn't want to be married to me. I don't want to be married to somebody that looks at things the way I look at them, thinks about things the way I look at them, reacts to things the way I react to them. How boring would that be if you were married to somebody that thought, felt, acted, reacted exactly the way you do? God, how boring would that be? That'd be terrible. You don't want that. You want them to be different. So accept your partner. Find things about them that you can focus on that are positive. If you want to do something to improve your relationship, work on being a friend. Work on friendship. You gotta be friends with your partner. Let's think about what that means. I'm betting that most married relationships, most committed relationships, most long-term relationships that are kind of in the ditch are probably problem-driven. You remember a few weeks ago I talked about the first 4 minutes? I said, come in, and for 4 minutes, don't talk about problems. For 4 minutes, how are you? How was your day? You look nice. The house looks great. Let me tell you something Billy did today that was just absolutely hilarious, or how proud I was of what Susie did at school today, or great news today from my mom, or something. Just positive, positive, positive for 4 minutes. And you're going to find sometimes that it's hard to fill up 4 minutes without bitching about something. And the harder it is, the more you need to do it. Mirror back to them, reflect on that is a positive about them. Maybe it's their looks, their grooming, the way they presented something, how they carry themselves, the idea or comment that they had to make, whatever it is, but you're going to interact with them in a way that they can't possibly walk away from you and not feel better about who they are. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with what they say. That's not what I'm saying. That's playing the nice guy. Playing the nice guy can really cheat a person. It can really be condescending. That's not what I'm talking about. You can disagree with someone. You can fire someone from their job, and they can walk away feeling better about themselves than they did before they walked up. And you're probably thinking now, okay, you lost me there. How are you going to do that? How are you going to fire somebody and they're going to feel better about themselves than they did before they walked up? Well, you might have to focus on their good qualities. You might have to focus about the contribution they've made while they're there, how painful it's going to be to have to let them go, the fact that they don't fit the organization, and how unique their talent is, and how special they are, and how strongly you believe in them and are going to help them moving forward and comment on the positive things that they've done while they were there, whatever you can find to comment on about them. And of course, that's the ultimate stretch. And I'm not saying when you break up with somebody, you don't give them the old, hey, it's me, not you. That doesn't fly. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about whether you're checking out of the grocery store with a clerk, whether you're talking to your children, whether you're engaging with a friend. And it isn't always about paying people a compliment. One of the most powerful things you can do for people to feel better about themselves is to give them your absolute undivided attention. Stop what you're doing. Don't look at your phone. Put your phone down. Put it in your pocket. Look them in the eye. Here's a unique thought. Look them in the eye. Engage with them. Be 100% present when you're talking to them. Ask questions about what they're saying. Follow up with what they're saying. Show an interest in what they have to say. Be engaged. Be 100% fully present. People's favorite topic is themselves. Sorry, it just is. People's favorite topic is themselves. Somebody can come up and talk to you, look them in the eye, they tell you something's going on, you ask a few questions and follow up, and say, well, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you've got just a minute, tell me about you. How are you doing? Tell me what's going on in your life. Well, tell me about that. That is so interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me. I appreciate you taking the time to share that with me. Just show an interest in them, a curiosity about them, and then listen intently. Be 100% present when you're talking to that person. There's nothing more rude than somebody to be talking to you and telling you something particularly personal, and you're reading your phone. I go into these restaurants and I see people on their phone the entire time, standing on the street. Who are they talking to? If they need to be somewhere else, why are they here? If whoever they're texting with or emailing or talking to on the phone is so important, why are they not there instead of here? If you need to talk to this person so badly, I will be happy to excuse you. You can call an Uber or something and go over there and be with them and text me. I don't know. But it's so rude. Be with your partner. If your spouse comes in the room and you're watching TV, here's a thought. Pause the TV. Look, you got to decide to make yourself happy rather than right. This world is full of right fighters. People that just decide, look, I'm right about this. I'm just right, by God. I'm right. I got the right to say this. I'm right about it. There's nothing going to change my mind. I saw such a tragic example of this many years ago when I was in private practice. I was working with a family, and there was a father that had a teenage son. The son wanted to grow his hair long, and the father just wasn't having it. And, the kid had grown his hair out, and he kind of kept it hidden a lot until all of a sudden his dad realized that he was, in his dad's words, had become a long-haired hippie. I remember we were having a family session, and he said, boy, you're going to get you a damn haircut. And the kid said, I don't want to get a haircut. My attitude about those things when I worked with families, and my attitude about it now is, when you're talking about hair or style, you got to pick your battles. These things come and go. I mean, if a kid wants to dye his hair bright green, just take a breath. Because next week, they'll shave it off or it'll be a different color or something. I mean, what difference does it make? If you want to grow it long, wait a couple weeks. They'll shave it off into a mohawk. You go, oh my God, that's even worse. Well, hang on, that'll go away too. Next thing they'll know, they'll get a bear haircut and it'll be something else. They'll have polka dots on their head. But that all goes away. Pick your battles. Kids go through fashion and they go through hairstyles and stuff, and it's nothing permanent. It's not going to make any difference. Pick your battles. I'm telling his dad privately, look, lighten up about this, man. I have the right. He's my son. He's a minor. I have the right to tell him how I want him to wear his hair. Yes, you do. You have the right, but you want to be right or you want to be happy? Why don't you roll with it? Come on, tease him about it or something. But have fun with it. tease them about it. Do something, but just don't throw the hoe handle down here and have a showdown and get resentment. You're going to push him into rebellious behavior and all of that. There's just two things left I want to say about really giving your relationship a chance to be happy. Number 9, allow your relationship to transcend the turmoil. This is real simple, and I'll use Robin and I as an example. We've been married 43 years, and we have never spoken the D word in our home. Despite what you may have heard in the tabloids and all the clickbait stories that you see, we have never spoken the divorce word in our home, not in passing, not in an argument, not in any way have we spoken that word. And I'll tell you why. We decided a long time ago that no matter what disagreements we have, no matter what kind of arguments we have, the relationship is just simply not the stakes for which we are playing. There's no emotional extortion. It's never like, you want to argue with me and just get all upset, then fine. I'll just get my stuff and leave. No, that's not the deal. We both know no matter what gets said, no matter what the argument may be or the disagreement may be, the relationship is just not on the line. That's just not table stakes. That's not what we're playing for. Think about a river, and there's a branch of a tree that reaches out over the river. You can get in the river and splash around, but you cannot splash high enough to get that branch wet. It's just too high above the river. Well, that's our marriage. Now, we can get down there in the river and we can splash around, argue, and splash water on each other, and we can thrash around, but it doesn't matter how much you thrash around. It is not going to splash up on that branch because that's where our marriage is, and that's not going to get wet. That sits up above the turmoil. The relationship is never the stakes for which we play, so it doesn't ever come into play. So no matter how mad one of us may get or what one of us may say, nobody ever enters that conversation thinking, well, how bad is this going to get? Is this going to end the relationship? Is this going to be the conversation that ends it? And the answer to that is no. Never happened, because we've understood and have the integrity that that's not going to be part of it. That's just not the stakes for which we play. And I highly recommend that. We deal with things as they come up, so we've never had a disagreement that even remotely approach that. We deal with things while they're small before they get big. We might have a lot of little skirmishes or disagreements and no wars. And that's what happens if you deal with things when they come up. They don't have a chance to fester and build into big things. People ask us, do we argue or have disagreements? Of course we do. But there are a lot of little small things, day-to-day things, because we just don't let them build up for a month or 2 months and then there's a blow-up. But even if they did, the relationship is not something that would be on the line. That's not something for which you ever should play. Number 10 really refers to the first 9, and that is put motion into your emotions. Put motion into your emotions. Everything that I've just been talking about. Own your relationship. Accept the risk of vulnerability. Accept your partner. Be a good friend. Promote their self-esteem. Don't vent your frustrations at home. Be upfront and forthright. Make yourself happy, not right. All of these things. These are action steps, things that you need to do differently. Put these things into motion. It doesn't do any good to just feel differently. You have to behave differently. And I promise you, when you do, you will no longer be eliciting, maintaining, or allowing destructive behavior from your partner. You will be creating an environment that is really fertile for health. If you do things that makes your partner feel better about who they are, I promise you things are going to feel better at home. I promise you your relationship is going to be more healthy, more rewarding. I really hope these things are thought-provoking. I really hope you put them into play. All of this is going to be on our website, so you can go back and review it if you haven't been taking notes because you've been driving or walking or whatever. So the 10 things that I've listed here are all going to be on the website, so you can go back and grade your own paper. I really want you to do that, because when I say this is relationship reality check, you really do need to check. Because when somebody asks you how much fun are you to live with, I want you to kind of get a little devilish grin on your face and say, yeah, I'm a hell of a lot of fun to live with. I'm Dr. Phil.